Hello, viewers. Everybody has their guilty pleasure foods, such as burgers, chocolate, and ice cream. But do they actually pose such a threat to your health? Could you get away with merely occasionally having it? In this video, we'll learn which foods you should absolutely avoid eating as well as some substitutes. Stay put because you might be surprised by a few of them. Things you ought to give up. French fries and chips. French fries and chips. Nothing beats your favorite bag of chips on occasion. There are an abundance of flavors. And in the end, aren't they just potatoes? Not exactly. Although they are initially potatoes, after processing, they hardly contain any nutrition at all. After potatoes are processed to make chips or fries, they may release chemicals known as acrylamides, which have been connected to cancer. Although it is well known that fried meals should only be indulged in. Sometimes, studies have linked frequent consumption of these foods, 4 or more times a week, to conditions such as type 2 diabetes, weight gain, hypertension, and heart failure. What is substitutable? Popcorn and rice cakes. Popcorn and rice cakes. Grocery stores typically offer a organic or healthy section because there are so many options available these days. If you're looking for substitutes, this is an excellent place to start. Now, don't just get into anything without reading the label. Stay away from highly processed foods and added sugars. However, because they aren't fried, rice cakes typically have fewer calories overall. Thus, you don't need to be concerned about all that trans fat getting into your body and causing irritation. We do not mean to microwave popcorn when we talk about popcorn. It is not acceptable. We are discussing handmade, air-popped popcorn. You can purchase a bag of kernels and use a popcorn popper or cook them on the stove with coconut or olive oil. Making it this way also gives you the option to personalize your popcorn to your liking. Feel like adding some hot sauce? Go ahead. Spice for steaks? Why not? Use your imagination. Things you ought to give up. White bread. White bread. We understand that one of the simplest methods to sat a hunger pang is to make a sandwich. We're major sandwich enthusiasts here. That delectable PB&J on white bread, meanwhile, might not be the greatest option. All of the nutrients have been removed from the wheat, which is why the bread is white. It's sugar and empty calories, thus it's likely to trigger a spike in your blood sugar. The word, enriched flour, should not be taken as gospel. It just indicates that some of the nutrients have been removed. You can still have bread, so don't worry. Replace it with bread that is rich in fiber and sprouted. Sprout-infused, high-fiber bread. You can still enjoy your sandwiches, which is fantastic news. All you need to do is tweak them a little. Consider choosing whole grain, sprouted, or seeded bread varieties that still contain the grain. Breads made from whole grains will provide you a lot of dietary fiber, improve the health of your stomach, and let your blood sugar rise gradually rather than quickly as white bread does. Things you ought to give up. 0-calorie soda. Diet Coke. Actually, what we should really say is sugary drinks in general, such as diet soda, sports drinks, and fruit juices. Particularly, artificial sweeteners found in sodas are so abundant that they almost fool your body into believing it is sugar. Diabetes and cancer have been associated with artificial sweeteners. Furthermore, there is a connection between diet soda and elevated blood pressure, visceral fat, blood fat levels, and metabolic syndrome. What is substitutable? Water. Shocker, water. We were going to say water, of course. According to studies, depending on your unique makeup, we should strive for between 3 and 4 liters every day. If you find plain water to be too monotonous, you can add fruit to it or switch to sparkling water. It will aid in sating your desire for carbonated beverages. Things you ought to give up. Some breakfast cereals. Some breakfast cereals. We'll start off by noting that while most cereal brands are highly processed, you can definitely discover a handful that are nutritious. The main problem with these ready-to-eat meals is their high sugar content. According to a recent study, packaged breakfast cereals are deemed unhealthy because of their high sugar content. What is substitutable? Oatmeal. Oatmeal. We have no words to express how beneficial oatmeal can be to you, especially if you prepare it yourself at home. You can also add nuts, raisins, bananas, or apples to personalize it. You can get dietary fiber from oatmeal. And this fiber has been connected to a decreased risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, stroke, cancer, and several digestive disorders. Oatmeal can raise or decrease insulin sensitivity and blood sugar levels. It's also a fantastic source of antioxidants, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. For a simple and quick breakfast, you can enjoy it warm or prepare overnight oats with berries and nuts. Things you ought to give up: cakes, pastries, and cookies. Cakes, pastries, and cookies. Despite their deliciousness, these tasty treats should never be a regular part of your diet. They are just that, treats. The majority of these treats are highly processed, so they'll do you no good in terms of sugar and fiber content. They are typically manufactured with unhealthy trans fats, refined sugar, and flour. Depending on how processed they are, they may also contain chemicals and preservatives. Processed foods may be linked to heart disease, depression, stroke, high blood pressure, and other conditions, according to some studies. What is substitutable? Handcrafted delights. Handcrafted delights. The good news is that you don't have to completely give up on these delicious delights. Make your own instead of purchasing the highly processed alternatives. You have complete control over what is in your treats in this way. And if you want to go above and beyond, you can add more ingredients to make it healthy. Instead of refined flour, use whole wheat flour. Instead of chocolate chips, use raisins. When you're creating it yourself, the possibilities are genuinely infinite. Additionally, if you're not sure how, you can ask your favorite baker for assistance and enjoy a fun time making delicious delights together. Things you ought to give up: yogurt with flavors or low-fat content. Hold on, what? We believed yogurt to be beneficial. Certain types of yogurt are, but these aren't them. You should constantly read the labels when it comes to varieties that are flavored, have fruit on them, or have fruit near the bottom, as they may conceal far too much added sugar. Some even contain as much as 15 grams of added sugar. In addition to sugar, other substances that you may not want to put in your body include starches and gums. What is substitutable? Yogurt, Greek yogurt. As with our last post, you don't have to fully give up yogurt. All you need to do is be mindful of the ingredients and replace it with another type, like Greek. Greek yogurt often contains vitamin B12, beneficial bacterial cultures, and a wealth of gut-friendly probiotics. It can also provide you with a calcium boost, which is particularly beneficial for women. To liven it up, try adding some of your own fruit or honey. For even more advantages, you can incorporate it into your smoothies. What you ought to renounce: pretzels. How many times have you thought that a pretzel would be healthier than a bag of chips and reached for one? You would only be somewhat correct, though. As you can see, pretzels are a covertly unhealthy food. They're typically produced with refined flour, which isn't the healthiest thing to consume, as we've already covered. Fast digesting refined or processed carbohydrates are seen as empty calories. Because they typically have a high glycemic index, they can raise your blood sugar and put you at risk for a number of disorders. Because they are regarded as processed foods, they will also contain a number of components, such as corn syrup, salt, and corn oil. Generally speaking, you should eat as little ingredients as possible. You should aim for full, unadulterated foods. What is substitutable? Crispy kale chips. Please listen to us. Kale chips. Crispy kale chips are a possibility. They do require some labor, but once you get the hang of the recipe, it will be well worth it. Besides, they're healthy, so you can enjoy them guilt-free. You're good there because they only have one ingredient, kale, and you know precisely what's going into them. One of the foods that is highest in nutrients and dubbed a superfood is kale. Because they are a leafy green, they have an extremely high antioxidant content, which helps the body eliminate free radicals. In addition to being high in beta-carotene and vitamin C, kale lowers blood pressure, protects the heart, fights viruses, and has antidepressant and anti-cancer properties. That is definitely better than a harmful pretzel, in our opinion. Not to mention, you may add more advantages by customizing your kale chips with sea salt, olive oil, and other spices. It's not necessary to completely change your diet to reap some amazing advantages. These little changes will have a big impact on your life and probably make you feel like $1,000,000. It can be hard to give up your favorite goodies, but if you try a couple of these, you could be surprised at how much you enjoy them. Do you want to learn more about leading a better lifestyle and eating a nutritious diet? Look at this. 8 fruits that are healthier than others and which you shouldn't eat. 16 alkaline foods you need to eat every day. Proceed now. Either click on one, or watch both if possible. Which healthy trait are you eager to attempt? Tell us in the comments section below.